There's a God in the old Buddhist texts. He sits high above the human world, in a heaven so vast that from where he sits, it feels like the top of everything. And he's been up there so long, so unimaginably long, that he's forgotten there was ever a time he wasn't. So he looks out at all of it, the stars, the worlds, the light pouring in from every direction, and he settles on one conclusion. I made this. I'm the one. I've always been here. And then a man with no throne walks into his heaven, sits down across from him, and says the one thing a God like that cannot survive hearing. You're wrong. Hi, it's Matt. And I want to start with you for a second, because when you were a kid, you probably asked somebody where the world came from, and they gave you an answer. God, the Big Bang, something. And it held up for about 10 seconds, until you asked the next thing. Okay, but who made that? And nobody had a good answer. They still don't. So stay with me. Because the man who walked into that God's heaven is one of the few teachers who didn't rush to plug the hole with another answer. He turned the question inside out. A while back, we made a video asking why Buddhism doesn't lean on a creator God. 1 million of you watched it. And out of all the comments, one kept coming back over and over. It was basically a dare. Fine, Matt. Then where did it all come from? So, here's me, taking the dare. But I have to show you where the Buddha was standing when people asked him this, because he wasn't the only voice in the room. In his world, 25 centuries ago, there were the priests, who said a God authored every grain of it. There were the fatalists, who said the whole thing was already written, every move locked in from the first instant. And there were the materialists, who said no one's behind any of it. It all falls out by chance, and whatever you were ends at death. 3 answers, and the Buddha refused to settle for any of them. What he offered instead went somewhere none of them did. A God who was wrong about himself. A question that keeps turning every answer back on itself. And in the end, something that doesn't look like an answer at all, until you realize it's the only one that ever set anybody free. Let's go up there. Here's something I've noticed about us, about me. We would rather believe somebody's in control, even somebody we can't see, even somebody who lets terrible things happen, than believe there's nobody at the wheel at all. An empty driver's seat scares us more than a bad driver. In the Buddha's India, the one at the wheel had names. Brahma, Ishvaru, the cosmos as a deliberate act. You set down inside it on purpose. And look at what that gives you. Control, meaning, justice, identity. Somebody's driving. Somebody saw what was done to you. Somebody knows why it all happened. Somebody meant for you to be here. That's 4 of the deepest aches a person carries, all of them answered in a single word: Creator. So when you ask where the universe came from, you think you're asking a question about space and time. You're not. Not really. Underneath it sits a smaller question, a frightened one. The one a child actually means when they look up at all those stars. Was I meant to be here at all? You feel it most when life stops making sense. Somebody you love is gone. And the unbearable part isn't only that they're gone, it's the silence where a reason should be. You stand there waiting for the universe to explain itself, and it says nothing back. So you reach for everything happens for a reason, because a cruel plan is somehow easier to hold than no plan at all. We would take a villain over an empty sky. And this is the part that surprised me. Even when people stop saying the word God, the shape of the belief tends to survive. We swap out the costume. The creator in the clouds becomes a programmer, sitting outside the simulation. Divine will becomes source code. The throne becomes a control room, somewhere back behind the screen. But listen to what's underneath every version of it. Somebody built the room. Somebody knows the rules. Somebody somewhere has the manual. Same comfort, new clothes. The creator instinct doesn't die when religion fades. It changes outfits. And the Buddha didn't laugh at that instinct. He didn't mock the people who came to him aching for someone to be in charge. He did something far stranger. He asked why the ache runs so deep in the first place. Because the reaching itself feels holy. It feels like the deepest, most reverent question a human being can ask. He looked at it and saw the danger folded inside it. A question can feel sacred and still be the thing keeping you asleep. Now the creator answer also has a crack in it, a logical one. Hold on to that. It's going to matter later. But the Buddha didn't open with the argument. He opened with the ache. So when they finally brought him the big one, who made all this, teacher? They leaned in, waiting for him to teach. Instead, he bent down and picked up a handful of leaves. He's standing in a forest of simsupa trees. He crouches, scoops up a small handful of fallen leaves, and holds them out to the people with him. These leaves in my hand, he asks, or all the leaves in this whole forest? Which is more? And they look at him like it's a trick question. Obviously the forest. The handful is almost nothing. And he says, yes, there's a whole forest of things I've come to know, and I'm handing you this little fistful, because these are the leaves that set you free. That's a real teaching. It lives in a text called the Simsapa Sutta, and it corrects something most people get wrong about the Buddha. The point wasn't that he had nothing to say. The point was that he refused to spend your one short life on knowledge that can't help you carry it. There's a sharper version of the same idea. A man is walking through the woods, and an arrow buries itself in his chest, poisoned. His friends rush to pull it out, and he stops them. Wait. Not yet. First I need to know who shot me, what he looked like, what the arrow was made of. He'd be dead long before anyone finished answering. The Buddha pointed that arrow straight at the big questions. Is the universe eternal? Did it have a beginning? Does it run on forever or stop somewhere? Real questions, genuinely fascinating questions, and you will bleed out collecting the answers. You've seen this. Maybe you've been this. The person who won't move, won't grieve, won't forgive a single inch, until the universe explains itself first. Why me? Why this? Why now? And the demand for that reason quietly becomes the thing holding the arrow in place. The Buddha's move was almost rude in how simple it was. You're suffering. Start there. Because the question that actually changes your life is almost never, why did this happen? It's, what do I do now? So no, it wasn't a dodge. He wasn't frightened of the question. He refused to let you die waiting for it. But don't think for a second he hadn't looked. The texts show a man who had looked further out than anyone around him. And what he found out there included gods. Real ones. And one of them was about to embarrass himself in front of the entire universe. So let me take you up there. All the way up. Past the human world. Past the lower heavens. Up to the throne that feels from below like the top of everything. To the being who's been sitting on it longer than you can hold a number in your head. And I want you to watch him make the most expensive mistake in all of existence. In the religious world around the Buddha, Brahma could be praised as the maker, the creator, the father of all beings. The Buddha's stories about Brahma take that claim apart from 3 different angles. The first is in a discourse called the Brahmani Mantanika. It's about a Brahma named Baka. Baka is old, not old like a mountain, old past counting. He's been up in his radiant heaven so long that he has never once watched anything begin and never watched anything end. So he's drawn the obvious conclusion. I'm permanent. I'm complete. This is mine. I am the ground that everything else stands on. and the Buddha comes to him. And he doesn't argue theology. He doesn't quote anything at him. He shows Baka the seam running through his own certainty, that even he flickers, even he shifts, even he is being held up by something he didn't make and cannot see. That's the first story. In a second one, the Kavada Sutta, a monk goes searching for the answer to a deep question, and he can't find it anywhere on earth. So he climbs, realm by realm, God by God, all the way up, until his question finally reaches the great Brahma himself. And in front of his whole shining assembly, the great Brahma booms it out. I am the Maker, the Creator, the Most High, the Father of all who are and all who ever shall be. Magnificent. And then, he takes the monk gently by the arm, walks him off to one side, away from the crowd. And quietly, where none of his worshippers can hear, he admits it. I don't actually know. I couldn't say that back there. They think I know everything, so I had to perform. And then there's the third one, the oldest, the Brahmajala, and this is where the machinery finally shows itself. It describes how a being like this comes to believe he's the creator in the first place. And it isn't a lie he tells. It's a memory he gets wrong. A world has dissolved. Everything's gone dark and empty. And one being is reborn first, alone, into all that emptiness. Alone for so long there are no words left to measure it. And eventually, he aches, he wishes. If only others would come, if only I weren't alone. And then others do come, reborn into that same space, by their own causes, on their own schedule. Nothing whatsoever to do with him. But he doesn't know that. All he knows is the order it happened in. I wished, and then they appeared. So he reaches the only conclusion that makes sense from where he's sitting. I called them into being. I made them. I am their father. And the ones who arrive after him? They look around and they see him already there. Already first. And they believe him. That's how this story imagines a creator being born. Not out of evil, not out of some con, out of a powerful being, alone in the dark too long. Long life becomes certainty. Power becomes authority. And arriving first gets mistaken for creating everything. 3 different stories. 1 diagnosis, mistaking your position for the origin. Now watch the moment it all comes apart for Baka. The Buddha decides to show him something. He lets his awareness reach out, somewhere past the outer edge of Baka's entire world. A place Baka cannot follow, cannot even perceive. And the God who was so sure he was infinite suddenly runs straight into the wall of himself. His sight has an edge. There's a fence around his kingdom, and he is standing inside it, the same as everybody else. And that's the whole thing right there. A creator who can't see past his own walls was never standing outside the universe, building it. He was inside it the entire time, held up, like everything else, by causes he didn't author and can't escape. There is no outside. Even the God at the very top is in it. And notice what Buddhism is doing here. It never says the gods are fake. It says even the gods are conditioned. Even the one on the highest throne is being held up by something. So if even he didn't make it, if nobody is standing outside of all of it, working the levers, then we're right back at the question, with nowhere left to hide. And this is where Buddhism stops hunting for a first hand on the wheel, and finally tells you what it thinks is actually going on. Think of a spider's web for a second. Every thread pulling on every other thread. Now take the spider away, nothing in the center. No hidden hand anywhere. Threads leaning on threads. And somehow the whole shape holds together regardless. The Buddha never drew that web, but it's about as close as a picture gets to what he was pointing at. No maker, no accident. Something deeper than either one. Remember that crack I promised you back at the start? Here it is. Say a God made the universe, fine. Then who made the God? And who made the one who made the God? You can keep walking backward like that forever and never once touch the bottom. A first cause doesn't end the chain. It hides it one link further back and hopes you stop asking. So the Buddha didn't try to win that chain. He cut it. And this is the part people miss, because they assume Buddhism is ducking the question of where the universe came from. It isn't ducking it, it answers it. You came looking for a who. Buddhism hands you a how. The Buddhist answer is not a person, it is a process. So what does that make the universe? Not a thing that got switched on one morning. In the early texts, the Buddha says samsara has no discoverable beginning. Anamataga. No first point ever comes into view. And the later cosmology runs with it. Worlds swelling, collapsing, forming again across cycles too long to count. Ask what came before this universe, and Buddhist cosmology doesn't point to a first creation. It points to another cycle. And before that, another. No first point comes into view, no first morning, only turning. And the engine of all that turning is one rule, running through the largest galaxy and the smallest thought you'll have today. Things don't get made, they arise, leaning on whatever came before them. In the text, it almost reads like a heartbeat. When this is, that comes to be. When this isn't, that doesn't. In the Pali, imasming sati I dung hoti. That's the closest thing to a straight answer the Buddha ever gave about how anything exists. Paticca samuppada, dependent origination, no first domino. Think of a standing wave in a river, that one shape that holds steady while the water tears straight through it. The wave is real. You can see it, point at it, photograph it, and it's made of nothing but conditions moving through a place. And you don't have to climb to a heaven to feel this. Look at your own breath. You didn't author it. You didn't design your lungs. It arrives when the conditions are right, and it leaves when they aren't, and you are riding on it the whole time. You're the wave. You're not the ocean. And there's no eternal ocean underneath, sitting still, waiting. It's motion, all the way down. This was the Buddha's road between those three answers from the start. Against the priests, nobody authored it. Against the fatalists, nothing's carved in stone. Against the materialists, it isn't random noise either. Everything leaning on everything. The Buddha had a habit that drove people up the wall. You'd ask him some enormous question about the universe, and he'd hand it back to you, pointed the other way, toward the one doing the asking. It wasn't a trick. It wasn't avoidance. He could see where the real mystery had been hiding the whole time. Not out in the sky, in the one standing there, staring up at it. Now I have to be careful, because this is exactly the spot where a lot of people go off a cliff. He is not saying you are secretly the universe. He's not saying you and the stars are one big cosmic self, and if you meditate hard enough, you'll melt back into the all. That's a beautiful idea. It belongs to a different tradition. It isn't this one. What he points to is quieter, and honestly harder to swallow. The one asking the question is inside the web too. You don't get a balcony. There's no spot outside of everything where you stand. Look down on all of it and grade it. The view from nowhere doesn't exist. You're a thread leaning on the other threads. And you feel this every single time you're stuck. Why did this happen to me? Whose fault is it? Where's the plan in any of this? All of it reaching outward, hunting for the hand on the wheel, waiting for the sky to file its report. Aim the question the other way. What's actually in front of me and what am I going to do with it? And something loosens. You can move again. So this is the only piece of homework in the whole thing. When questions like this came to him, whether the world was eternal, whether it had a beginning, whether it ran on forever, the Buddha often did the one thing nobody expected. He said nothing. He sat. And he stayed quiet. And the people who knew him understood that the silence said more than any scripture could. It wasn't the silence of I don't know. He knew exactly what he was doing. And it wasn't the smug silence of a man sitting on a secret making you beg for it. It was the silence of a question that had finally stopped needing to be caught. Because somewhere inside it, you stopped needing reality to have an owner. The support you were searching for was never outside the world, and still, nothing fell. Think back to that kid from the beginning, the one who asked who made the world, then asked who made that, and never got an answer that held. You never did get your answer, and it turns out you were never supposed to. The chain doesn't end in a name. It doesn't end in a face in the clouds, or an architect, or a line of code. It ends right here, in whatever is in front of you, arising. And that small, frightened question hiding underneath all of it, was I meant to be here? The honest answer is this. There was never a first hand on the wheel, and I know that's supposed to feel terrifying. Stay with it long enough, though, and it settles into something else entirely. Nobody outside the universe assigned your life a reason. That doesn't make your life empty. It makes everything you do count for more. Because through what you feed, what you drop, and what you choose, you become one of the reasons the whole thing keeps changing. If you've never seen the video this one grew out of, the one asking why Buddhism doesn't lean on a creator God in the first place, it's right up there. Go watch that next. And before you do, I'll leave you with the question this whole thing turns on. If the universe doesn't need a maker to exist, do you? I'm Matt. I'll see you in the next one.